In the first video of this series, we looked at a number of different external applications that were running on this FirstClass server. Different ones opened in different window types, and one of them stored data specific to the user and presented different default information to different users. In this video, we will show you how these applications were installed. To install an external application and make it available to your users, you must log into your server as the administrator using the FirstClass desktop client. On the administrator desktop, you'll see a folder called External Applications. Let's open the one on this server and take a look at the configuration of the 4 different applications that we looked at in the first video. The first one was the calculator application. Opening the form, we can see 3 tabs and many options. Fortunately, in most cases, there are just a few of these that matter. The name is the name that is used for the application and appears in the App section when logged into FirstClass. The best advice here is to keep it short. The icon used for the application must be uploaded and attached to the form and must be a PNG image titled icon.png. The size does not really matter, but I typically use a 64 pixel by 64 pixel icon, but I can see in this case I used a much larger one. It gets scaled accordingly. In the Application Visibility section, you specify the group or groups to which you wish to make the application available. For this application, I've chosen to make it available to all users. On the Configuration tab, you specify whether you want the application to be displayed inline, as we have here, in the center pane, or in a new browser tab. When inline window is specified, you must also specify the initial size of the application's window using these fields. Now that we've configured how we want the application to run, all we have to do is place an iframe in the body of the form, specifying that we want the iframe to expand to the entire width and height of the window, and where the source of the web application is. I see here that the application resides on the codathon.firstclass.com website. If I take this URL and open it in a browser, we can see the application. When we run it while logged in, we see it working as configured. There is an important thing to note, however. Since my instance of web services is running with an SSL certificate, modern browsers require that all iframe code must also come from a secure site. Even though my calculator application can run from the insecure port 80 on our website, if I remove the S from HTTP in our configuration form and log in again as this user, we see that the application doesn't display. Right-clicking on the window and choosing Inspect Element, and then clicking on the Console tab will reveal why. It says, blocked, the page, this location, the iframe, was loaded over HTTPS, but ran insecure content from, here, our non-SSL driven website. The content should also be loaded over HTTPS. This means that if your FirstClass Web Services is running as an HTTPS server, then all of your content must also come from a site that has a secure certificate installed. The next 2 applications we reviewed are quite similar. One loaded a website from the FirstClass website and displayed it in a center pane, while the other one loaded the Wikipedia website and displayed it in a separate window. Let's take a look at the Wikipedia application first. We see that this application is available only to those users who belong to the Vancouver group. It has this icon, named icon.png, and the iframe points to the Wikipedia website source. On the Configuration tab, instead of Inline Window, we have chosen New Browser tab, and no window dimensions are required. For the FirstClass website application, this setup is similar. Again, only available to the Vancouver group. It has a different icon, but still named icon.png. The iframe code points to the FirstClass website, but on the Configuration tab this time we specify the center pane as the display location. As with the New Browser tab, no dimensions are required. Now it may seem that we could display any website within an external application as long as it comes from a secure site. Unfortunately, this is not always true, as you will see. Let's take a look at the opentext.com website that does have a certificate and is available here at www.opentext.com. Let's change the source of our web application to go to the OpenText website. When we log into FirstClass and launch the external application, it doesn't render in the center pane as we would expect. Again, we can right-click on the pane and choose Inspect Element, and then click on the Console tab. This time we see Refuse to display the opentext.com website in a frame because it set Xframe options to deny. So you have to make sure that the website that you want to display in the iframe has not set the Xframe options in the header to deny. The final two examples were the same application but offered different options to two different users. This was the Directions and the Distance Logging application. Let's open both at the same time and look at the similarities and differences. First of all, note that both point to the same web application on this web server. The names and icons that we give to the applications are visual things only and do not affect the operation of the application. Similarly, one is available to members of the Vancouver group and the other to members of the Toronto group, but again this does not affect the application's functionality. However, when we look at the Configuration tab, we see that there are different string values entered into the configuration field. This information is passed to the application on startup, and the code in the application uses this information to retrieve and display different default locations for the application and present it to the user. These strings are actually the names of the JSON files containing the location information. This application also allows users to store and retrieve user-specific data, but that is not determined by the configuration file. This is something that gets coded in the application itself. So, to summarize, installing an external application, this would be the process. You log in as the administrator with the FirstClass client and open the external applications folder. Choose File, New Document Special to create a new external application form. You can enter a name for your application, remembering to keep it short. You enter the names of the groups to which you wish to make the application available. You attach an icon by uploading one titled icon.png that will be used as the application icon. On the Configuration tab, you determine how you wish the application to be displayed, either inline, in the center pane, or as a New Browser tab. If you choose Inline Window, you need to specify the width and height. If your application requires information to be passed to it at startup, you enter that information in the Configuration field. And finally, you enter the iframe code pointing to your secure external web source. If you follow the remaining tutorials using the External Application Development template, you will not need to bother with the other fields on the Access tab, and the Single Sign-On tab is for future development and as yet is not available to external developers. In the next video, we will install the External Applications Development template and take a look at the code behind it and how external applications can access user-specific FirstClass information and where it can store and retrieve user-specific data.